All right, fans of melodic rock, old and new, welcome back. It is Dave, the Real Music Observer, observing real music in real time for real people just like you right there. Okay, and yours truly right here. Lou Gramm gives a pretty wide ranging interview with, what's that guy's name? Mitch Lafon? Lafron? I don't know. I think it's Lafon. Up in Canada. He's the guy who recently interviewed Dennis DeYoung. And Lou, in the interview, I think drops, a couple of little bombs here and there. Nothing too big, but he does talk about how he does like Kelly Hansen, and he thinks that the band does a good job singing the hits, but he's not all that impressed with the newer material the band has composed, saying that it lacks a certain something. He and I are on the same page there as looking at the last full studio album by Foreigner. It was called Can't Slow Down, and it slowed down. It wasn't what we expected. The truth being that maybe 2 tracks on it were decent, and the rest of it was really not up to what Foreigner can do and what they used to do. I think when he says it lacks a certain something, I think he's more or less saying that it doesn't rock hard enough, and I would agree with him. And by the way, that's the same issue that drove these two guys apart during the 1980s. Lou was not into these ballads, and Mick was. And yes, the ballads have proven, over time to be very successful and very formative when it comes to folks who like Foreigner and who get into Foreigner. They typically form their opinions on songs like I Want to Know What Love Is and I Don't Want to Live Without You and Waiting for a Girl Like You. But when Lou joined this band, it was a straight up rock band, and it may have had some slower tunes like Star Rider, but those were songs that had kind of a progressive edge to them, and they weren't like power ballads. So it's interesting to hear Lou talk about this stuff openly. I think he's probably got nothing to lose. I think the ink is dry on whatever contract he's been written into. Coming up on August 4th, you got Foreigner with Lou Gramm and the Foreigner Mach 2 lineup, we'll call it, performing out at Sturgis. It ought to be a really good time, and to see that lineup back out there, they killed it over at Jones Beach last summer in New York, and nobody really knew where they were going to be. I was trying to find out where they were actually going to roll the whole thing out, and it was Jones Beach. This year, it's kind of telegraphed more, so I'm sure the hardcore fans of Lou Gramm. And look, there's so much sentimental value with original singers, even if they're not at 100%, or even if their voice has changed, where I think Lou still sings very well. And surprisingly, he does a lot of higher notes, and he tends to avoid the stuff that he set the bar too high on. Jukebox Hero would be a place where I think he takes it easy a little bit. But his tone is decent, and he's still, growling into that microphone, which is really impressive for a guy who, went through all that he went through with the brain surgery, and really still, to this day, I think, recovering from that incident. So, again, the commentary Lou has here is blunt and to the point, and I like it. Can't Slow Down was not one of my favorite records, and certainly I think if Foreigner does record any new music piecemeal, Jeff Pilson says probably one tune here or there. I think they should put more thought and more effort into capturing the vintage Foreigner sound from, say, the 77 to maybe, 88 period there, with Inside Information being really the last album where you can hear that sound, although even that album was a little bit different from their prior stuff. But I think if it's within that context, it'll be great. So there you go, Lou Gramm making a few waves, not big ones, but it's interesting to hear his take on Kelly Hansen and Foreigner's newer material. And can't wait to talk about the Sturgis event, which I'm sure a bunch of folks will be taking great cell phone video for yours truly. All right, done. Be back soon with more. See you then.